great day, and welcome to another edition of Boyz II Men with your host, Terrell Murphy. And moms, I'm glad that you're sitting by the radio, sitting by the computer, sitting by your cell phone, or wherever you are. I'm glad you're sitting there to get more information. It's a joy for me every week to share with you and to be able to impart with you things that are going to make your life better, and those around you are going to become better because you've become better as well. And so thank you, moms, for being here. Call somebody real quick. Let them know we're on the air. I'm going to talk about that in just a few moments. But I also want to say many thanks to the great people at WDRBmedia and WGIV Charlotte for making this broadcast possible. I'm really humbled to be able to partner with good people who desire to give you information and desire to give you inspiration. And when I talk about information, I'm talking about information that allows you to stay relevant. I'm talking about inspiration that helps your life to be transformed daily. It's good to join with people who really feel the way that you do about bringing change into the earth. It's great to be joined with people who are committed like you are to serve this present generation. And that's one thing that we're missing today, are people who want to serve this generation. What so many people want to do is get everything from this generation that they can and be consumers and consume everything, but not be producers and produce a lifestyle, a mentality, an attitude that really serves the generation that you're in. And I've traveled practically all around the world, and I've been involved with a lot of things, and the most meaningful things that I've ever touched in my life were not the things that bought me the most money. They were not the buying of a new house. They were not the recognition of being on regional, local, or international television. They were not the recognition of being featured in magazines and all that. The things that have blessed my life the most are when I've been able to give my life away and share my life and my experiences with someone and serve them into destiny, serve them into a greater place of hope and strength. And that's what I like about partnering with WDRB and WGIV, is because they are individuals who are seeing that they have a calling and a responsibility to the generation that we are living in at this time. And so mad props to them. As we talk a little bit about Boyz II Men, I just want to lay some things out for maybe some new listeners, or some of you that have been listening to me and you're still trying to grasp my philosophy on a few things regarding Boyz II Men. But I want to say Boyz II Men has been designed with a heart primarily toward single female heads of household. And I want to read you a couple of statistics which will give you some understanding of why my heart has been moved the way that it has. There are over 60 million women in this nation, in the United States at least, somewhere between 60 and 65 million, maybe a little bit more. Of that 65 million or so, there are over 20 million women who are mothers without men. So a third of the 60 million, 65 million women, a third of those women are mothers without men. They are mothers in the United States who are getting along in their life without steady male companionship. I want to highlight that to you because it carries great weight in what I am doing through the Boyz II Men broadcast. As I read those numbers, for some of you that may not pose a problem for you in your thinking. For me, it does create a burden because it reflects a dilemma that is in our society. Because these type of statistics, and we're not passing guilt, we're not blaming, we're not talking with you about whatever's happened. That's not what this show is about. I'm coming alongside of you regardless of what has happened. It doesn't matter to me that has left you in a place where you are the parental presence in your child's life. And again, we step outside of the boundaries of just female heads of households. We step into the boundaries of just places of where there's just mothers who are primarily taking time with the children, because maybe a man is there, but he's just not active. He's just not assertive. He's just not tapped into the children. And so we don't just bound ourselves to the boundaries of single female head of households. principles. But that's where the greatest challenge is. That's where the focus is more than anything on young boys that who one day have to become men. But it's hard for a boy to become a man when he doesn't have the proper nurturing and development that should come from a man. It's tough when his mom may not possess the understanding or the skill set to be able to get him into that next place. And that's one thing that Boyz II Men represents is coming alongside of those mothers so that this dilemma that's having an incredible impact on our young men, on our mothers, and on the relationships that young men, young boys and mothers have with each other. We come alongside to serve that and to make things even better. Now, I want to say this because I'm an honest person, but I will say that I don't profess to have all of the answers. But what I do have and I share every week is my heart, because my heart is to see the lives of all people empowered and to see the lives of people overcoming any odds that can bring them into a great quality of life. And a quality of life that is far above the challenges. And when I'm talking about challenges, I'm talking about things that seek to rout your life, things that seek to wreak havoc on your life and on the next generation. I want to be in place to bring the answers, the empowerment, and the grace and courage to you to overcome whatever you're facing so that your life can represent the quality of life that you were put here to really, really have. I've been in leadership positions over the last 25 years. And one reason I've been burdened with the Boyz II Men broadcast is that I've seen firsthand the effects on boys who have had who have or had no present or even an active father in their lives. I formed Boyz II Men, and I believe it'll continue to serve as a catalyst to empower you mothers so that you can be there to positively move your boy into manhood. And this is what I want you to do for me. I want you to become an answer to another mother's life, and do that by letting her know about this broadcast, letting her know it's on every Sunday night, helping her to tune in to what we're doing through WDRB, through WGIV, through the free download of the app TUNEIN, in which they can go to WGIV and listen to our show. I want you to do that because we want to keep it real for the sake of true transformation. Let's take a break and we'll come back in a few. I'm Terrell Murphy, your host on the Boyz II Men broadcast.
Hey family, it's time to go get your blessing. This is Dr. Bizness, host of the Profit and Growth Hour and author of the anticipated newly released book entitled Birthing the Greatness Within. I'm sharing with you the keys to unlocking the greatness inside of you and how to birth it out so that your purpose can come to pass. For more information, go to www.drbizzness.com. That's DRBIZNESS.com. If you'd like to know more about me, here's what others are saying.
I know and I trust that with Dr. Biz and them, that my business is going to grow. Profit and growth is exactly what Salon Encore needs to take me to the next level.
My name is Mike Jones. I'm from Legacy Limousine as well. And I just want to say with Dr. Bizness, you ever heard the saying that God put you where you need to be? Well, that's where we need to be with Dr. Bizness.
So go get your blessing by visiting www.drbizzness.com and order your copy today.
Welcome back, moms. And as I do every week, I remind you of the mandate. And the mandate is this: Mom, your boy has got to become a man. You remember that. Write that down. Carry that in your spirit. Every time you approach him, every time you have an interaction with him, keep that in mind, is that by my understanding, by my love, by the skill sets that I'm developing through Boyz II Men broadcast, my son will become a man. I think one of the greatest books ever written is the Holy Bible. Matter of fact, it's the best-selling book that has ever been written. And it's not just a book reserved for Christians. It's a book reserved for all mankind. And when its principles are in deployed, they bring forth wise people who do wise things. But it's a book filled with wisdom, and I believe that it strengthens anyone who reads it. So something it says is very key. And I give that attention to it because in the 127th Psalms, it says of children and it says of boys that they are a heritage from God. A heritage is something that is passed down. Moms, your boys have been passed to you by God. And then that scripture goes on to say that the fruit of the womb are a reward. It says it says that the fruit of the womb, it's a reward. Wow. I mean, think about that. The child that came out of your womb is a reward. So on one hand, Mom, your son is a heritage. He's something that has been passed down to you or passed to you by God. He didn't form from an amoeba. He didn't evolve into something. He is not from Darwin's survival of the fittest, and he was just a lump of something that made its way to a shore, that got tapped into a tree, that went up a tree, that turned into a ape, and now evolved into a man. No, he's a unique, created thing of God that's been passed to you. He's a heritage. And so on one hand, he's a heritage, and on the other hand, he's a reward. The reason I'm pointing that out is that both of these qualities speak directly to the preserving and the enhancing of the life of your boy or your boys. Their life is about preserving it and enhancing it. And that's a role that you take as a mother, as a parent. That point guides me into a reality, and that reality is this. Because of the cherished and valued nature of our boys, hear me, because this is very key. This is a strong show today. The guarding of their lives is crucial. Because of their cherished and valued nature, the guarding of your boy's life is crucial, so that they don't just reach manhood, but that they reach it, and they reach it as a healthy young man. And I'm not talking about just in body or in health in that sense, but I'm talking about becoming a healthy man. And this is just as important as their health, but a healthy man in mind and a healthy man in emotions. If you've been tuning in for the last few weeks, and if you haven't, shame on you. You're behind. You're getting behind with your boy, and I want you to catch up. But in all seriousness, and I understand you've got things to do, but we would love to have you here every Sunday night at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. For the last few weeks, we've discussed the stages of development, categorically. We've talked about the category of the age from 2 to 6, and then 7 to 11, and then 12 to 19. What I want to point out to you as we move further this week into building young men is that at each age, they become susceptible to persons or things that can directly or indirectly damage his heart, and therefore making the development at each age more challenging. As a matter of fact, if there's any thought that I'm having tonight, I'm speaking from the thought of really guarding your young boy, guarding him so that he reaches manhood in a healthy way. And so Mom, it's important that you establish yourself as a watchman at each stage. You're not just a woman who birthed the child into the earth. You're not just a woman who works her fingers to the bones and moves in great mental contemplation and physical exhaustion trying to move in this young boy's life. You're greater than that. Those are things that, yes, you have to do, but a greater thing, the higher thing, is to establish yourself, Mom, as a watchman at each stage, not one to control him and manipulate him, not one to take away his liberties and take away his space and giving him room to grow. I'm not talking about that, but I'm talking about a watchman as one who would stand on a wall and watch what goes on in and around your son so that you can guard him. You must guard their lives with your life. That's what it's all about. And I'm not comparing you to an animal in the wild, but I love to watch shows that feature animals in the wild and really watch the protective nature of the mother, how she guards that child from the different things that are in that environment. Hear me very clearly, that are in that environment that could really bring damage to that cub's life. And hear this, and hindering that cub from becoming a full-grown male in a good, strong, and positive way. So I believe you must guard their lives with your life. Now, I'm going to be the first to admit, as a husband of a wife that has 2 boys that I'm the father of, I'm going to be the first to admit that training them up in the way that they should go is really no easy assignment. And often it's challenging because of all they can find themselves entangled in. See, moms, there's a crisis for our young men called negative culture. That's what we live in, is a negative culture. And the large majority of them are greatly influenced by a negative culture. Your child is far more exposed to negative environments and experiences than they are positive ones, because our culture, through the 7 mountains, our 7 pillars of influence of every society, have given themselves over to being corrupted. Therefore, if it's corrupt, all that can come out is corruption. And so these 7 mind molders, media, arts and entertainment as another one, the government itself, education, the business mountain, religion even. These mountains bring out negative influences. They develop a negative culture, which your sons obviously move in. And this is what I want you to understand, is that in this negative culture, the most obvious place that your sons are being attacked in is in their emotions. So, Mom, for many reasons, your son is hurt for many reasons. And some of these reasons some of these reasons you're totally unaware of. That's why I said in our last week's broadcast, it's important to engage your son's life. Stop being consumed with so much of what you have to do and engage them in their lives and find out just where your son might be hurting in some places. And when we return, we're going to take a look at their woundedness, because how well they move beyond their woundedness or miss being wounded altogether has a tremendous effect on the man that he grows up to be. Call somebody, let them know that Boyz II Men is on and Terrell Murphy's getting ready to go deep. Take care. We'll be back in just a moment.
Katrina at Divine Touch Photography will magnify your moments, help you promote your business, improve your appearance, and enhance your memories. Divine Touch Photography does it all, specializing in weddings, private and social events, headshots, and so much more. Right now, you can get unlimited images and a free 8x10 glossy printed portfolio with the purchase of any individual or group photography session. For more information, call 704-813-9333. 704-813-9333, or just visit DivineTouchPhotography.com. Earn double the coverage and up to $200 off all event and wedding packages. Certain rules and restrictions apply. Contact a Divine Touch Photography associate for more details. That's Divine Touch Photography, 704-813-9333.
Now, let's do this as you've come back, and I hope you brought somebody back with you. And thank you for staying to hear the last segment of today's broadcast. I want to focus on this last segment on these broken young men, because that's impacting how they behave, which impacts how you handle them, which has a direct effect on how they grow up and what type of man they become. We're not talking today to necessarily to fix him. I'm not trying to get you to get something today to fix him today, but to move into a greater place of understanding him. And this is key because as he matriculates through life, he needs your guarding. Your son needs you guarding him, not becoming obsessed with guarding him, not becoming over protective, but just guarding him from the known and the unknown, guarding him from a society that has set itself up to steal and kill and destroy all of your son's hope. There are things happening around him that are stealing his life and trying to kill his life and trying to destroy his life and his hope. And you have to be aware of those things. See, moms, your sons now more than ever, and I'm speaking from the place of cultural breakdown, now more than ever, they're experiencing crisis in their personal confidence. And because of this, many are not displaying a greater nature. A better them is not coming forward. A stronger them is not coming forth. A better them is not coming forth because of our cultural breakdowns that are keep creating crisis in how they even see themselves. And because of this, many don't display a greater nature as it relates to moving through life meaningful and successfully. And we have to change that. Let me make you aware of something. That's probably going on that may be going on in your son's head. But if not your son, somebody's son. Many of our boys are, number one, believing that they are unloved by their parents. Many of our boys are feeling hated and disrespected by their peers. And both of these positions, whether it's believing they're unloved by their parents, and you need to check that to make sure they know you love them, not just the word love, but they can explain to you how they know you love them. That along with them being hated and disrespected by their peers, what this does is it leads them to great feelings of dislike. It moves them to great feelings of disgust and even hatred. Have you ever noticed that your child goes through seasons where he doesn't like anything, doesn't like anybody, doesn't want to deal with anything? He moves often into a place of disgust, and then some go further into places of hatred. And what's been proven is that those type feelings have often led to violence. They've led to drug abuse. They've led to sexual promiscuity, and they've led to suicide, all because of not knowing if they're loved by their parents, and then by being hated and even disrespected by their peers. We have a big thing now going on with bullying. We have people videoing fights on Facebook, and we sit there and watch the fights along with 1.6 or 5.8 million other views, where people are being disrespected and the value of life is totally being done away with, to the point that we look and watch as people savagely destroy each other. All of this is because of the hatred that is inside of our young boys that snuck into their lives, and many of us don't even know that they're dealing with these things, don't even know that they're wondering how they're really loved by their parents. See, your child is doing a lot of wrong things, and in doing a lot of wrong things, you have to correct him, and that is right to do. But that correction must be with love. It should never be at the moment of anger. You should back off, then go back and correct the child. And then after you correct the child, do something to embrace him and love him and hold him and let him know that he is loved by you. Because I'm telling you now, if you don't hug him, some hoochie down the street's going to hug him. If you don't hug him, mom, some cougar is going to like his physique and she's going to hug him. And if you don't hug him, someone of the same sex is going to hug him. Somebody is going to take advantage of his vulnerabilities because he was never supported, hugged, and loved by mom, and he needs that. And I'm going to throw this in. Your baby girl needs it too. So when you see these activities and actions of drug abuse, promiscuity, and suicide, what you also begin to see is cutting, and you also begin to see excessive tattooing. You begin to see identification with things of darkness and perversion and even satanic rituals. See, we don't often see their tears, but this is how many of them cry. Your son, Mom, has many unmet needs. I know this show's a little different, but we're tapping back into the very root system of our boys. Your son has unmet needs, and these unmet needs are very often soothed by his culture. That's why he'll throw on headphones in the car and listen to nothing, because of that cussing, that music that is inappropriate is soothing him. And that's not always inappropriate music, but something that he's listening to, something that he's watching, something that he's texting about, talking with someone, some social networking, exercising that he's always doing is somewhere soothing him. They have unmet needs that the culture is standing by saying, I'll soothe it. I'll make it better. Just come to me. Just bring that thing to me and I'll make you feel better. And what's proven is that if your child's unmet needs are not properly met, he runs a risk of not recovering from that and not recovering from any neglect that comes from that creates this big gap that is in his life. Because the only reason children have unmet needs are because somewhere they've been neglected by a parent who hasn't identified that they have needs and then been in place to make sure those needs have been met. I'm not by any means saying that you neglect your child, but I am saying that we have neglected them, all of us, from me all the way out through the airways. And I side on the side of innocently that I ain't your judge or your jury. But if we're not filling the space that needs to be filled by us, as I said earlier, there are so many stimulants that are willing and have filled these spaces. And you and I live subjected to some of their behaviors because we were not being watchmen of our boys. On the other hand, some of the abuse and neglect that's happening with our boys is physical, and some of it's related to chemical substances. And I want to say this, that if that's you, reach out to us at askme@b2mnow.com or by phone at 980-277-2268, because Boyz II Men is a safe place, and it's a place that has a healing balm. And if you are abusing your child because of chemical substances and you're neglecting your child because you're having too many challenges, reach out to us and we'll get to you and we'll serve you into a greater place. I want to look at the hurts that come from a lot of different things where our boys are concerned because they're wounded warriors. Some of the hurts that come to them, or where a lot of the hurts come from, rather, are number one, parental immaturity. Babies having babies, or women who have had babies, but you haven't continued to grow. Mom, you haven't continued to develop in your life. What are you reading? What are you watching? Are you sitting around watching gossip TV and reality shows? Or are you opening up a book and doing something to develop yourself so you can become a greater mom? I know it takes time. I know it's not the most exciting thing to do, but your life is not lived for you. Your life is lived for your child. And if we don't develop as parents, if you don't develop, Mom, then your parental immaturity will bring hurt to your child. Then there's parental distractions. Over here, over there, doing this, doing that. These distractions, a lot of hurt to our children come from our distractions because we don't put our attention and our time to them, but we're pulled away, putting it in other places. Then there's parental busyness, just busy. Then there's divorce, because what divorce does is it diverts the attention from the child to the parents' issues. Now, some of those divorces are legitimate, and I support it where it is legitimate. It's not the ultimate way of unity, but I do support it when there's been a situation created that, hey, it's best that we be apart. Abuse can be a part of that. Infidelity can be a part of that. And there's probably some other things that fall in that category as well. But it diverts the attention from the parents to from the children to the parents. Chronic neglect during the first 2 years of life of a child. That child needs to be held and held close, because there are psychological and neurological effects that happen in a child when there is chronic neglect. And then there's an extreme emphasis on body image. Our children are out trying to look good, smell good, so much tied into their image. It's not about being a great person, but how well you can live. And if you're putting, if there's extreme emphasis on body image, that becomes hurtful for a child that just can't reach what the culture says is the proper way that he should look. These are just a few of the pitfalls that are awaiting your son if they've not already taken a hold of him. And so on our next show, we're going to dive into antidotes for some of these wounders of our boys' souls. And you're not going to want to miss it. And you're going and I want you to reveal your love to your nephews and grandsons and your kids' male friends, all of those parents of your nephews, parents of your grandsons, of your kids. And I want you to plug them in to the show next week, because we're going to take hold of greater knowledge and wisdom for helping our boys' souls that have been wounded as we escort our boys into being men. I've enjoyed my time with you. I always enjoy imparting into you. Like me on Facebook. Email me at askme@b2mnow.com. Ask me at b2mnow.com. Give us a call and let us know what you think about the show and how we can serve you in any way. Mothers, you can't make him a man, but you can bring that man out of him. This is Terrell Murphy, your host for the Boyz II Men broadcast. I look forward to talking to you and your network of friends next week. Be encouraged. Make the week great. Invest into your sons. I'm out. Peace.
Cut. All right, that's good. Good cut.